Welcome back for another food find adventure here at Sarafino. Today we have Fabrizia Funghi. We've been working with these guys for like 16, 17 years. It's been a long while. I mean, that tells you something. It's one thing you have to know is like everything we share, I like to use the word share. Everything our Sarafino shares with our customers is stuff that we actually eat ourselves. In fact, we won't sell it unless it is eaten on our tables. So this stuff is the bomb. Even though we actually don't have La Bomba, which a lot of people are familiar with. These are all like spin-offs of kind of like La Bomba. So Fabrizia is in, again, our favorite region of Calabria. And it's not too far away from our family in San Giorgio Morgetto. It's just up in the mountains, a little further away, about an hour drive, straight up. So in Fabrizia, they're famous for their mushrooms. That's where the infamous Porcini mushroom is hunted. Dried Porcini mushroom. Well, I guess we'll start off with dried Porcini mushroom since it's in my hand. So Giovanni Sorrentino and family run this small operation up in the small town of Fabrizia. Here we have the dried Porcini mushroom, 25 grams. It's dehydrated. There's a little bit of sponginess to this, which you should always find in a dried porcini. It shouldn't be completely dried. These are found mainly in the mountains. That's where you find porcini mushrooms. Of course, mushrooms are always growing around trees, and that's when these are harvested. After the rain, lunar cycles. Where to use porcini mushrooms, classic in risotto. You can also add them to soups, stews, casseroles. You just let them hydrate. Well, I guess I'll read the directions here. It's about 20 to 30 minutes. So to rehydrate the mushrooms, soak in warm water for 20 to 30 minutes. And then you'll get a great flavorful mushroom. So mushrooms and the flavor intensity actually increases when you after you harvest them and dry them out. So you can definitely smell that intense porcini mushroom through the package here. So Porcini, Funghi Porcini. So Fabrizio also focuses on antipastos. So we have 8 different antipastos. Then we also have 2 preserved vegetables, which are dried tomato and artichoke. And then we have salted capers, pickled capers, and caper berries. So everything here is what, of course, we're going to say it's the highest quality, but there's certain things that I like to show off in terms of the colors, which can give you an indication of the quality. So this is our black olive spread. The ingredients: black olives, sunflower oil, garlic, sea salt, and chili pepper. It's the color of I'm not sure how well the camera picks this up, but the color is like this deep royal purple, which means that the olives aren't picked when they're over matured and that the olive paste hasn't oxidized in any way. So it's like that optimally picked olive where it's just bright purple, and then they're harvesting and then they're curing them and then transform them into a paste. So the whole curing process as well with these products, and as well as their olives, which you'll see in another video, because that's a whole thing that, I mean, we love olives here at Sarafino, of course, and we love you too. So we decided that we're going to have a separate video about our olives. But the olive paste is made from olives that have been naturally cured, because there's different chemicals that you can use to speed up the curing process of olives. So there's a natural fermentation process that's involved. So in terms of the flavor, of course, this has got that like smoky, classic matured olive flavor. It's going to be a little more mellow than the green olive. So that's our black olive spread. The artichoke spread goes through, it's also a cured process where they take the artichokes and they brine them and then they leave them for 6 to 8 months or even longer. And if you have them in a heavy salt brine solution, then they're actually just a way of preserving them, and then they can just pull them out as you need them and then process them. So this artichoke isn't like bold flavor, but it's got a nice mellow flavor, and you get a nice, of course, flavor of artichoke. There's some garlic, sea salt, white wine vinegar, and parsley. It's very actually hard to find an artichoke dip or spread that just doesn't have anything really but artichoke. Like, of course, this has some herbs and spices in there, but a lot of times they're just adding other vegetables or cheese just because there's like not a lot of flavor to the artichoke itself. So this product just really highlights artichoke, and it gives you a chance to just see what artichoke can really taste like. And of course, artichokes are popular in southern Italy. That's where a lot of them grow, in Puglia and Sicily, some in Calabria. All right, moving along, the spreads. Spread some love with these fabulous, wonderful, flavorful eggplant spread. This is my favorite flavor. It's I love pickled eggplant, and I grow eggplant in our garden, and we slice it up and we cure it and put it under salt. This is basically what this whole process is for the spicy eggplant, and the eggplant's cured again, kind of similar to with the artichoke. So there's a whole process behind the process with a lot of these products, which is a lot of the work and how it comes from. There isn't a sped up process. All these products are basically made in the way that they've been made for hundreds of years. So they're just traditionally processed. So of course the refrigerator never existed. So a lot of these products were just made the way sott'olio. So, they're under oil, but the way that they would have been made in order to preserve them throughout the winter. So the spicy eggplant, it's got that Calabrian pepperoncino in there, pickled eggplant, sunflower oil, chili pepper, sea salt, garlic, and white wine vinegar. You can put this in a lot of places. I typically just really like eating it pretty well just on its own, of course, with some cracker or baguette, or obviously you can put it in a sandwich or some sort of wrap as well. And then just below it we have the hot rustic. This is super versatile. It's a Calabrian chili pepper, garlic, and sea salt in there with some oregano. The Calabrian chili pepper is famous. It's got a nice fruitiness to it and just the right amount of heat. This isn't something like the intensity of like a habanero or scorpion or anything like that that's going to blow your head off. But so there's a really nice flavor to it. Again, this chili pepper, it's actually fermented. We should be putting this stuff on the label, but it's a fermentation process where they put the peppers under salt and then cure them, pull them out, and then grind them up, process them, and then jar them. For Sarafino, they're made in Italy. There's refrigerate after opening. Always recommend just to push down the product so it's sitting below the oil. And that's the hot rustic malt, wherever you'd use hot sauce. This is like an Italian hot sauce. The OG Italian hot sauce. Basil pesto. Who doesn't use pesto? I know a few people out there that really love pesto. And this is a really great selling product for us. There's a lot of things I can highlight about this, but I always go to just read the ingredients. I don't know, there's the nutrition facts here. I never look at nutrition facts. I never count the calories or, I don't know, well, I guess it's important to know the sugar, but that'll just tell you on the ingredient list that there's a whole bunch of sugar in there. Just don't even bother picking it up. Count the chemicals, not the calories. Ingredients: basil, sunflower oil, porcini mushroom, pine nuts, garlic, and sea salt. Pick up another pesto on the market, read the ingredients, most of the time, if not all the time, you're going to find potato flakes and cashews, and basil sometimes not even first ingredient. I've seen some in some cases. So here you have pine nuts too. They're also Italian pine nuts. So pine nuts in Italy can be pretty expensive. And it's got porcini mushrooms. So this is like a southern Italian Calabrian style of a basil pesto. It's flavorful. It's got, it's kind of intense. Like it's got a lot of flavor, so you don't have to use much of it. And it seriously is one of our best selling spreads here. It's just, yeah, you just got to try it. Spicy eggplant and olive. It's a pretty wicked combination of probably my favorite two things. I love olives and I love eggplant. So the combination of these is perfect. The heat in this is really nice. It's a little more on the higher scale for the heat, but it just tastes so good. And there's the sunflower oil, chili pepper, garlic, sea salt, and oregano. Kind of the same way that the spicy eggplant can be used, but it's got a little more depth to it. So there you have the spicy olive and eggplant. Moving along, what do we have here? The green olive spread. So green olives, black olives. The difference is green olives are younger. They're immature, where black olives are mature. So typically a green olive just gives you more of that fresh, green, tarty, younger flavor. So it's just a little more vibrant than what you would find in the black olive spread. So green olive, sunflower oil, garlic, chili pepper, and sea salt. Where would you use it? Those charcuterie boards, your cheese boards, your sandwiches. You can add it to a pasta salad dressing, and certain salad dressings as well. Give it a try. You'll love it. I know you will. I mean, I do, so that's why it's in our collection. Everything here, we eat it. We love it. Spicy dried tomato spread. I mean, I love the spicy eggplant, but I probably use this one the most. I mean, it's dried tomatoes. Like, we use tomatoes, and I don't eat store-bought tomatoes anymore. I just gave up on them because, I mean, the cardboard boxes that these come in sometimes have more flavor than store-bought tomatoes. Dried tomatoes, sunflower oil, oregano, fennel seeds, chili pepper, sea salt, and capers. But, of course, it's the quality of the dried tomato, where the tomato is grown, how it was grown, when it was picked, how it was dried, when it was dried, all make the difference. So there's just it tastes like real dried tomatoes, and it's going to give you a lot of flavor, the bit of spice to it, and it's just so versatile, whether it's a pizza base or you're just adding it to sauces, wraps, sandwiches, scrambled eggs, breakfast, lunch, dinner, all times of the day. It's got a lot of life, and you'll love it. So that's the end of the spreads. Move over spreads. We just got the dried tomatoes. So essentially the spicy dried tomato is made from these dried tomatoes here. And the biggest thing with dried tomatoes, I find, so many of them are just mushy. They're soft, they're soggy, and they're mushy. And then, of course, the flavor is like, they don't have any depth to them. So these dried tomatoes, actually, I got to point out something here. This is something, maybe I got to come out a little more, because, all the sun-dried tomatoes on the market all say sun-dried tomatoes, and I'm willing to bet that none of them are actually sun-dried. They're just called sun-dried tomatoes because sun-dried tomatoes used to be sun-dried. Most of them are not. And we have sources of getting sun-dried tomatoes, but these are not actually dried under the sun. So we're calling them dried tomatoes and not sun-dried tomatoes. But sun-dried tomato sounds nicer, and we probably sell a few more. But then we would just, we couldn't sleep at night. So these are, they're just dehydrated in a, very highly sophisticated, sanitized dehydration mechanism, machine. Dried tomatoes, sunflower oil, white wine vinegar, chili pepper, oregano, garlic, fennel seed, and sea salt. Yeah, so Like the texture is so important when it comes to dried tomatoes. As I mentioned, like the soggy, soft dried tomato, like that's not good. That's not a good dried tomato. So these here have, like, they're chewy to the point where, like, you know, it takes a little bit to like rip through the tomato, but they're dried at, like, for me, they're dried at the optimal point of like humidity content before they're transformed and put into under oil in the brine here. Yeah, so the flavor and the textures on these tomatoes is unlike, the thing is that we've always continued to try other products out there just to, you know, see what else is going on, but to also ensure that, you know, we've got some of the best, if not the best, products on the market. And I have yet to ever come across a dried tomato as good as this. I guarantee you, or your money back. Artichoke Hearts. Yeah, so these are, lots of people know what artichokes are. This is the heart, the center of the artichoke. So it's raw artichokes. Again, they're taking raw artichokes. They're not cooking them. And the same with the spread here. Like they're boiling artichokes, so it actually softens them up and you know takes away some of that flavor. So this is cured under salt brine solution, and then they're taken out and then processed, put under sunflower oil, sea salt, white wine vinegar. They're super simple, so you just get to taste the artichoke, and then of course you can dress them up, whether you put them in a salad or some sort of recipe, or just eating them straight out of the jar. Handcrafted by Fabrizia Funghi in Fabrizia, Vibo Valencia is the province. For recipes and more, Sarafino.com, and refrigerate after opening. I like reading our labels. They're pretty simple. What do you think about our labels? Let us know. What's next here? Pickled capers, salted capers, and pickled caper berries. This is the caper collection. Let's start off with the salted capers, because most people aren't familiar with salted capers. You see the pickled capers. So salted capers are sort of like the chef's choice. Reason being is that you're not getting like an infusion of vinegar into the caper. It's just the salt that has preserved the caper. So you're just essentially just getting caper flavor. And the beauty of this is that you actually get some of the salt is infused with caper flavor. So I don't throw the salt out. If you want to rinse the salt off, if you just want to use the capers, I just just get a sieve or I get a fork and I just pick out the capers and I use them, whether it's in my salmon or fish or certain types of salad that I'm making. And then I can just use the salt, or if the dish, what I'm cooking requires salt, then you're obviously not adding salt. You're just getting the salt from the capers. Capers and sea salt. I mean, that's the way to go if you want like a true caper experience, because the vinegar is good. I mean, the vinegar we're using, of course, is a white wine vinegar, but it takes away from the flavor of the caper, and the caper isn't like typically bursting with flavor, but in this manner, it maintains that flavor, but I feel like it's definitely more caper flavor than a wine vinegar. So salted capers, and plus they look cool. Like there's just like crystal salt in between capers, and use it as a shaker too. So the capers in white wine vinegar, sea salt, and there's some water in there. One thing to note about capers is the size of the capers, and the size matters. And you don't want these large, massive capers, because the flavor, the texture, the quality, the bigger they are, the lower quality they are. You want nice, small caper buds. So what are capers anyways? They basically grow on a little bush in the Mediterranean. So you'll find them in a lot of parts of the Mediterranean, mountainsides and stuff like that. There's a couple of famous islands in Sicily that have that grow capers. So it's a bud on a bush, and then that bud opens, of course, and then it flowers, and then you get the caper berry. but the bud is like a concentrated flavor, and capers are just like classic in Mediterranean cooking. The ones, anytime the ones with vinegar here, I'll use them occasionally, but they're in a salad or something where I'm going to be using some vinegar. And then the caper berries. That's the fruit. Caper berries, you can garnish drinks with them. I just eat them as a little snack. It's kind of like eating olives or pickles. And it's kind of cool. You got the stems on them. You just pop them in your mouth, pull them, and then you got a nice little burst of caper, and they're just done the exact same way as the capers are. The caper berries got the white wine vinegar, sea salt, and vinegar. So that's it. Fabrizia Funghi, Giovanni Sorrentino, and his family providing these products for us for well over 14 or 15 years. We're so happy and proud that we can work with them. These guys they're old school. These guys don't even have a website. They just produce amazing products. I love that. And so will you. Check it out. Thanks for watching.